Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today, we'll continue following the emotional story of LyTuDiep and CEO James, the couple who have overcome countless hardships together to build their company, DJ Agriculture. After so many days of effort, they've finally secured the biggest contract in the company's history, an opportunity that could take DJ Agriculture to a whole new level. But, behind those shining agreements, could there be something unusual hiding in the shadows? Is everything really as smooth as it seems, or is this just the beginning of a new challenge waiting for them ahead? Stay tuned and watch the entire video to see how the story unfolds. Early in the morning, the sky was crystal clear without a single cloud. The gentle sunlight spread across DJ Agriculture's brand new warehouse, reflecting off the glass panels of the operations building, making everything glow as if gilded in gold. The hum of machinery mixed with the cheerful chatter of workers created a lively rhythm, the sound of energy, progress, and a memorable new beginning. On the fresh concrete floor, the scent of paint, wood, and coffee from the break corner blended together, the smell of effort, of success drawing near. James stood at the central area, holding the operation plan in his hand, his eyes following the forklifts moving crates out to the loading yard. Beside him, Diep wore a crisp white shirt, her hair neatly tied up, her face glowing with pride and emotion. "Do you remember," she asked softly, her voice trembling a little, "that first day when we only had a tiny rented house? The roof leaked from every corner, yet we still packed each product by hand to ship to our customers on time." James smiled, a calm, deep smile. "Of course I do. That night we worked straight through till morning, trying to balance our books, not even having enough money to buy packaging. And now, look at this." He gestured toward the towering rows of shelves, where neatly packed dried agricultural products bore the gleaming DJ Agriculture label. Sunlight streamed across each bag, like a golden mark of everything they'd endured, a testament to their journey from nothing to a trusted regional brand. Diep was silent for a few seconds before nodding gently. "It's all been worth it, James. Every drop of sweat, every moment we almost gave up, brought us here today." From a distance came the sound of a horn. John, their loyal partner since the very beginning, drove a large truck through the gate, the first shipment ready for delivery. He jumped down, smiling brightly. "The first truck's rolling out, boss. Everything's ready." James and Diep looked at each other, saying nothing, just smiling. Their eyes shone with trust and gratitude, as if they both knew every hardship had finally paid off. Diep stepped forward and gently touched the embossed company logo on the front sign. "DJ Agriculture," she said slowly, "isn't just our company. It's where hope is nurtured, for farmers, for dreams once forgotten." James looked at her, as the morning breeze rustled through the roadside trees, carrying laughter, engine sounds, and the clinking of metal, all blending into a symphony of new beginnings. He gently squeezed Diep's hand and said quietly, "This is only the beginning." Outside, the big gate swung wide open. The first trucks rolled away, leaving behind a trail of sunlight on the freshly paved road, a road leading toward the future they once only dared to dream of. The midday air seemed to thicken with a mix of anticipation, joy, and disbelief. Golden sunlight poured down onto the polished brick yard, reflecting off the faces of James and Diep, two people who had started with nothing but a dream and an unyielding perseverance. Inside the warehouse, workers were still busy checking inventory. The sounds of packing machines and the rustle of plastic wrap filled the air. Yet every now and then, someone would glance toward the gate, where a sleek car had just driven away. They could feel it, something was changing. A turning point was coming for the company they had built together. Diep was still holding James's hand, her voice trembling slightly. "Do you see it, James? Just a few months ago, we were still going from market to market, trying to pitch our products. And now, they come to us. James nodded softly, his eyes filled with quiet conviction. He squeezed her hand, as if to make sure that everything happening right now was real. It's all thanks to you, Diep. If you hadn't believed, if you hadn't insisted that DJ Agriculture could be more than just a small workshop, I probably would have given up. Diep laughed through glistening tears at the corners of her eyes. No, James. It's thanks to us. Because we both believed, even in the smallest glimmer of hope. A gentle breeze swept through, carrying the scent of dried ginger and pomelo chips across the warehouse, the fragrance of hard work and hope. In the far corner, John and a few workers were still labeling boxes, smiling as they whispered excitedly about the big order to Japan. James looked down at the business card in his hand, running his thumb over the embossed letters. Hong, Southern Region Representative, Agritech International. He turned to Diep, his voice calm yet more serious than usual. Agritech is a major corporation. I've heard of them before. If this deal goes through, DJ Agriculture will truly step beyond Vietnam. Diep hesitated for a moment, her eyes reflecting a flicker of concern. But that also means we're entering a much bigger arena. We'll have to be careful with every move. Do you see the word international on that card? I don't know why, but I have a feeling things are moving a bit too fast. James stayed silent. The wind rustled the trees near the gate, sending a few pages of his operation plan fluttering to the ground. He bent to pick them up, his gaze drifting toward the road where Mr. Hong's car had just disappeared. Golden sunlight bathed the warehouse in warmth, but deep inside James's heart, there was something more than joy. A faint, uneasy feeling, one he couldn't quite put into words. That afternoon, the sun tilted westward, casting its final golden rays across the DJ Agriculture sign at the warehouse gate. A gentle breeze swept through, carrying the warm, fragrant scent of dried ginger and pomelo chips from the production wing. Inside the small office, the desk phone rang sharply through the quiet air. James quickly picked up, his voice still tinged with nervous excitement. On the other end, a man's voice came through, clear, firm, and full of enthusiasm. We've reviewed all your product samples and quality reports. Agritech is truly impressed by the quality of your goods. The board has decided to move forward with the first contract this week, a total of over 500 tons of dried agricultural products, with a 50% advance payment. If you agree, our legal representative will be at your office tomorrow morning to finalize the signing. For a few seconds, James froze. His heart pounded as if he'd just heard something impossible. He gripped the phone tighter, and a slow, stunned smile spread across his face. "Thank you," he said quietly. "We accept. This is the opportunity DJ Agriculture has been waiting for all these years." The voice on the other end replied, firm and decisive. "Excellent. See you tomorrow morning." As the line went dead, James stood motionless, his hand trembling slightly. Every effort, every setback, every sleepless night, it all felt as if it had led to this very moment. Footsteps echoed down the hallway. Diep entered, her shirt still dusted with pomelo powder from the warehouse. Seeing the radiant expression on James's face, she asked, still uncertain. "What's going on? You look like you just won the lottery." James turned toward her, his eyes blazing with excitement. "They chose us, Diep. Agritech agreed to sign, and they're paying half the order in advance. The first shipment, 500 tons. For a heartbeat, time seemed to stop. Diep's eyes widened, her hand flew to her mouth, and tears welled up without warning. She rushed forward, throwing her arms around him, laughing and crying all at once. "Oh my God, someone finally believes in DJ. Do you see it, James? We actually made it." James held her tightly, his chest bursting with joy. Through the glass window, the last rays of the setting sun streamed in, bathing them in a golden glow, as if the evening sky itself was offering silent congratulations. Outside, a few workers who overheard the news began to cheer softly. John came running in from the loading area, waving a checklist in his hand. "Is it true, James? The first contract?" James nodded hard. "It's true. Get everything ready, Agritech's team is coming tomorrow to sign. We're about to enter a whole new chapter." Applause broke out, mingled with laughter and shouts of joy. Yet amid the celebration, Diep's gaze drifted toward Mr. Hong's business card lying on the desk. She didn't know why, but a strange feeling stirred in her chest, part joy, part unease, as if behind the glittering promise of this deal, something was still quietly hidden in the shadows. The afternoon light slanted across the road leading into the warehouse complex. James's mother's car stopped at the gate. As the engine quieted, the sweet scent of ripe oranges filled the air. She stepped out, carrying a basket of golden fruit and a lunchbox still warm to the touch. "See," she said with a gentle, proud smile. "I told you, if the two of you stay patient and do things the right way, heaven won't turn its back on you." James took the basket from her, nodding softly. Beside him, Diep bowed politely, then quickly cleared a space on the desk to set down the lunchbox. "You know," his mother said, looking at Diep with warmth in her eyes, "I used to worry a lot. I was afraid James would give up halfway again, just like before. But seeing the two of you now, I couldn't be happier." James reached for Diep's hand, his voice low but full of emotion. "You helped me believe in myself again. DJ Agriculture isn't just a company, it's the result of everything we've endured together." Diep smiled, her eyes shimmering with quiet joy. The last rays of sunlight filtered through the office window, falling on the neatly stacked rows of packaged goods. The DJ Agriculture logo gleamed brilliantly, as if coated in gold, the glow of achievement, of all the days they refused to give up. The next afternoon, the sky was clear and blue, and DJ Agriculture's office lights were already on early. On the desk lay a neatly arranged set of contract documents, crisp, pristine, ready. A car stopped outside the gate, and two men in black suits walked in, their demeanor composed and professional. One of them spoke up. "We're representatives from Agritech International. The board has been highly impressed by DJ Agriculture's production and quality control systems. If everything goes smoothly, we plan to expand the next shipment to the European market next quarter." James stood and shook their hands, his smile confident yet solemn. The room's air seemed to thrum with a mix of pride and tension. Beside him, Diep sat listening attentively to every clause, every figure discussed. Everything went astonishingly smoothly. When the contract was finally slid across the table toward him, James picked up the pen and paused for a moment, glancing at Diep. She gave a small, reassuring nod. And he signed. Each stroke of the pen was firm and deliberate, marking the culmination of a long journey of dreams and perseverance. The sound of camera shutters followed, click, 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 capturing the historic moment for DJ Agriculture. A small company from rural Vietnam officially making its first mark on the global business stage. Outside, the sunset painted the sky a deep shade of orange. In that soft light, James and Diep's faces glowed with pride, joy, and an emotion too deep to name. No one knew that inside that same room, beside those promising signatures, something else had quietly begun. Something that would soon change everything. The faint scent of dried ginger and candied orange still lingered in the air, drifting gently through the half-open window, blending with the steady chirping of crickets outside in the garden. The small house on the hillside glowed warmly under the golden light. The dinner table was still cluttered with dishes and chopsticks, Yet no one seemed to mind. Laughter and chatter filled the room, the joy of a fulfilled day keeping everyone awake a little longer. Little me crouched on the floor, carefully adding more colors to her drawing. In it, the new warehouse stood tall with a big DJ Agriculture sign, trucks loaded with goods in front, and her parents standing side by side, holding hands. "I drew Mommy too," she said brightly, "because Mommy's always at the warehouse." Diep laughed, leaning down to plant a kiss on her daughter's forehead. "Yes, Mommy will always be there, with you and Daddy, watching our shipments travel far and wide." James sat beside them, gazing at his wife and child, a strange feeling rising within him, peaceful, yet deeply moved. He gently placed a hand over his daughter's drawing and spoke softly. "This warehouse isn't just our hard work, it's the start of a whole new future. One day, when you're older, you'll understand, everything we've built today comes from love and faith." Diep rested her head on his shoulder, smiling. "I believe it, James. This time, we've truly made it." A night breeze drifted in, rustling the curtains. Outside, moonlight slanted over the small garden, glinting on the dew still clinging to the rows of vegetables Diep had planted. Far away, the warehouse lights shimmered faintly against the dark sky, like a lighthouse marking the beginning of a new journey. Yet within that quiet peace, James had no idea that elsewhere, on the far side of the city, a phone call was being made, between two men bearing the name Agritech representatives, and another name he had never heard before. That night, the silence was so deep that James could hear the faint ticking of the clock on the wall. The only light in the office came from the desk lamp, casting a warm golden glow across his tired face. On the table lay the contract with Agritech International, its corner still creased from the signing earlier that day. The scent of fresh ink and paper lingered faintly. James turned each page slowly, reading every clause again, his cautious nature refusing to rest until everything had been double-checked. When he reached the final page, his eyes stopped. A small italicized line sat just beneath the signature block. Party B, DJ Agriculture, agrees to grant Party A the right to manage and coordinate the warehouse system in the event of financial fluctuation or operational risk. James frowned. He brought the page closer to the light and read it again. The sentence was short, almost harmless, yet something about it felt off. "Manage and coordinate the warehouse system," he muttered. Probably just a clause to protect their capital. He tried to reassure himself, exhaling slowly before letting out a small, tired laugh. "First international contract. I'm probably just overthinking it." He stacked the documents neatly, locked them away in the drawer, and turned off the lamp. The light vanished, leaving only the pale moonlight filtering through the window, casting soft silver shadows across the papers he had just closed. Outside, the night wind began to rise, rustling the curtains, a rhythmic flutter, like the quiet breathing of a house at rest. In the next room, Diep and little me were fast asleep, their gentle breaths steady and calm. James paused before leaving the desk, the moonlight glinting faintly in his eyes. He didn't know that the very clause he had dismissed, that single, inconspicuous line of text, was, in fact, a carefully laid trap, hidden beneath layers of reasonable, polished wording. A door creaked open somewhere in the darkness, letting in a sliver of cold light from the porch. The wind swept through the window, stirring the papers on the desk. One page slid free and drifted to the floor. Under the moonlight, the italic words shimmered faintly at the bottom margin. Temporary coordination clause, effective within 48 hours after payment. A small number, a seemingly meaningless detail. But it was the trigger, the quiet spark, for a chain of events no one could have foreseen. That morning, the sunlight stretched across the warehouse yard, glinting off the neatly stacked cargo crates. The roar of truck engines echoed through the air. One after another, Polished trucks bearing the Agritech International logo rolled through the gate, sleek, professional, and impressive enough to make every worker pause in awe. Inside, the warehouse buzzed with life, workers scurrying back and forth, some checking inventory, others loading goods. The air was alive with energy and excitement unlike anything they had seen before. Standing by the doorway, Diep looked out over the scene, her heart swelling with pride. "See that?" she said softly, eyes shining with conviction. "DJ agriculture isn't the same anymore. We've really turned a new page." James nodded, the smile on his lips a mix of joy and deep emotion. He stepped forward to shake hands with the Agritech representative, a middle-aged man in a gray suit, composed and polite. "Thank you," James said sincerely, "for believing in us. DJ Agriculture won't let Agritech down." The man returned his smile, his handshake firm, his gaze unreadable. "We always believe in partners who share our vision, James. And we hope this collaboration will last a very long time." Laughter filled the air, cameras clicked, documents were signed. It was a day everyone believed would mark the dawn of a new era. But amid the cheerful noise, tucked away in the corner of the office, the fax machine quietly whirred to life, spitting out a new message from the bank. At the bottom of the page, a small line of text blinked faintly. "Temporary access to payment account granted to Party A, Agritech International." No one noticed. No one knew. And as James stood in the sunlight, shaking hands with his new partners, a radiant smile on his face, unseen threads had already begun tightening around DJ Agriculture. Bit by bit. Stay tuned for the next episode. As James begins to notice strange inconsistencies in the payment records. And a former Agritech employee suddenly appears, bringing with him a chilling warning. "James, they're not here to buy your produce. What's really happening behind Agritech's deal?"
Xin chào tất cả mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Hôm nay thì mình đang tiếp tục làm video về câu chuyện quản lý từ Diệp và CEO James. Ôi giời ơi, buồn ngủ quá. Hồi nãy mình đang làm video này ra là xong lâu rồi. Xong mình buồn ngủ quá, mình đi ngủ một giấc, xong giờ mình mới dậy mình làm tiếp. Hôm nay thì mình cũng chưa biết là có lên video hay không. Mình đang tính là sáng ngày mai mới lên video. Tạm biệt mọi người, hẹn gặp lại trong video sau.